Hey guys, so here bringing you another video and welcome to another dev video. So apologies for like the last 3 days, it's not been commentary gameplay videos as the second video of the day. We had the first dev video, then we had the patch notes, and then we have the second dev video. It just happens a lot that it's like at the same time. So this one is quite an interesting one. It's all about the upcoming changes to the game. And the title of the video is true, that I'm probably going to title it of like I was invited to another dev meeting. So obviously, what I've got on the screen here is the blog that was released publicly a couple days ago that goes over everything. And I'm going to use that because I don't believe I'm allowed to show the PowerPoint kind of thing I was given in the dev meeting over a week ago. So yeah, over a week ago, I was with some other content creators and press about the changes. We were with directly the devs that are making them. And we also could do a Q&A at the end. And a bunch of people did ask questions, and I can go off tangents on some of the things here that I know a little bit more about their thought process of why they're doing things. And I even know, because someone asked the question of like a voice chat, and we did get kind of an answer about that too. So I will bring that up later. So it is worth knowing that we did know a lot of this stuff already when we weren't supposed to. If anybody remembers, about a month ago, maybe just over a month ago, some other region kind of leaked it, and it was like an official leak. It was on the League of Legends website. It might have been Garena, I can't remember which one, but on their official League of Legends website, a very similar version of this came out. I did make a video reacting to that as well, but obviously a month's passed, more things have been updated, more things have changed, and obviously this is the official one, official one. So let's get into it. So it is now on PBE, so if you wanted to do and play with these changes, you can jump on the PBE now. And that's actually a question that I've got to you guys. Do you want me to go on the PBE and do a bit of the testing? On one hand, yeah, it can be good. But on the other hand, why I haven't jumped on it straight away is we have the whole of preseason to test the changes. And we're still 40 odd days until the season's ended. So I don't really want to get into that. I'm testing for next season when I'm still trying to get the main account back to master. We've got to finish the Unranked Diamond series. I'd rather focus on those things than test what we're going to be doing in the whole of preseason. So let me know. If you guys are like, nope, we want to have testing, then I'll fit it in a bit. But that's my thought process on it anyway. Also worth mentioning, something that obviously I got from dev meetings ages ago, PBE isn't the best place to obviously do testing. It's not a balanced environment. You have vast amounts of skill differences in the games. You have like more serious Diamond Plus players trying to test what they're going to get, used to. And then you have more casual players. And because there isn't really a hardcore MMR system on the PBE, you're just thrown together, and that's where the chaos sometimes happens. As always, I will do PBE testing when a new champion comes out. And we shouldn't be too far away from the upcoming one. So I will do testing for that. I just don't know if I'll do testing for this. And obviously when I do the new champion stuff, these changes will be on the PB for that. Okay, so the first thing is the Chem Tech Dragon is coming back. We knew it was coming back. The way that Riot kind of worded it, I don't know. Again, I've not read this article, but they wanted the 2 new dragons to feel a step above the other dragons. That's what they wanted, and they both did. That definitely was achieved, but especially the Chem Dragon was way too powerful, and it was to the point that it was unhealthy, and it was anti-fun. And that to me is always when the line crosses anti-fun and it's a video game is when change will most likely happen. So even Riot in the meeting did basically say, we knew it would be risky releasing it. They knew it straight away, and that's ultimately why they took it away. So they're giving it a round 2. Again, Riot would never want to abandon a whole production. This model, the dragon, it costs money to make these models. You'll be surprised how much. So they don't want to just scrap it. They don't want to waste it. They do want to use it. So what are we getting now? So the buff, the stacking buff up to 4, obviously, if you get 4 Chemtech dragons, well, now you will gain a small amount of tenacity and a heal/shield strength when slain. So that's a pretty good, well, it's more of a tanky, supporty one. But then the bonus, obviously the Dragon Soul, is now bonus damage when enemies, no, is it when you, I think it's when you are below a certain amount of health. So again, it's not the revive mechanic anymore. It's not the ghost zombie scion ult. It is its own thing. It's definitely not as powerful as it used to be. So thankfully, that's a toned down version. And that just kind of more goes in line of the other dragons. They are game changing, but they're not breaking the game. So I'm okay with this. You know, I'm not against it. So there's that. But another thing that they're doing for Chem Dragon, as you know, it wasn't just the actual dragon itself and the buff it gave that people didn't enjoy. If people remember, they had all camouflage stealth areas in the map too, and that also was really weird. And that's one of the biggest things that I criticized, was this champion has champion level mechanics. Sorry, this dragon has champion level mechanics in multiple ways. You're giving everybody in an area stealth and camouflage, and obviously that's a percentage of the champions that are stealth and camouflage champions. That's their identity. You're now giving that to everybody, which is a bit weird. And then the zombie mechanic, you're giving basically Scion ult, but better, to everybody. It just felt a bit weird. So they have toned that down. So instead of giving the camouflaged effect anymore, it's going to mutate the jungle. So the plants are going to get affected. So the blast cones will now blast those twice as much as they used to. So what currently the blast cones just kind of can get you over a little area. Yeah, it's going to be a much bigger arc of the jump, so that'll be kind of weirdly funny. And then the honey fruits will turn into stim fruits, and they no longer slow the champion that consumes them, and they actually grant a small bonus shield in additional to the usual heal. So nothing major there, but it's, you know, the disadvantage of eating one of those fruits is it does slow you, and that sometimes can screw an escape route or something. So you don't get slowed, and you get a small little shield. So that's not bad. And then the Scryer's Bloom, obviously the vision, the sight plant, is now becoming Stalker's Bloom. When it hits, these plants now reveal a small circular area around the plant and a cone opposite in the direction it was hit, granting movement speed towards revealed enemy champions and reducing wards revealed to 1 health. So that's quite a powerful one for vision. So, you know, bam, there's a lot of vision, bigger area. Big circle, a cone, everything. It spots an enemy, you now get bonus movement speed if you're going towards the enemy for a period of time, but any wards that you spot immediately go down to 1 health, so you can just quickly take out all the wards in an area. So again, that's not bad at all. Overall, I'd say I'm fine with that. Riot didn't really go much into, and this is how I'm going to do this, is when I talk about a topic, I'll then go into what did Riot add anything more to this in the actual Q&A, or just in talking to all of us. They didn't really add much more to that. There's not much more to say. It's definitely toned down. It's definitely healthier. Dragons are always going to be stronger, or strong, and they do want, for some reason, Chem Dragon and Hex Dragon, they do want them to feel stronger than the original 4. I don't know why, but that's what they want. And yeah, this dragon is going to be strong. There's no doubt. It's a strong mechanic in pretty much everything it's got, but at least it's not completely anti-fun. That's the good thing. So there's that. All right, so jungle and I do say this lightly, improvements. So this one, I will say, over the last couple days of waiting for this to become public, this has been the biggest controversy that I've seen so far, and a lot of people seem to be unhappy about it. And typically, it's the better players are unhappy about this change. And to be honest, that makes sense. So we'll go through what they're doing, but in essence, for those that haven't looked into this yet, they are dumbing down the jungle. They're dumbing it down for a couple reasons. The biggest reason that I could tell why they're dumbing it down is League is an old game and its learning curve is very, very high. And jungle is arguably the least popular role because it holds so much. It holds so much in the victory condition every game. If your jungler is not playing very well, the chances of you winning the game are very low, and everybody knows that. So that's why people don't like to jungle that much. But it's also daunting starting the jungle. You've got to learn so much about it. It's the most unique role. So Riot is wanting to tone that a bit down so it's a little bit less daunting for somebody to pick up jungle. What this, I will say, doesn't really do is jungle is still going to be the most important role because it does the most. It can affect all 3 lanes. No other role can do that, really. It is the objective powerhouse of the game. Rift Heralds, Barons even, Dragons, that's mainly the jungler that has that power. So ultimately, it doesn't really fix anything to do with that. But anyway, the first thing they're doing, and I still find this really gimmicky, is the jungle smite is changing. It is now becoming avatar smites and jungle pets. So there will no longer be a starting jungle item. You will pick one of the 3 pets, and this pet changes and adapts and evolves as the game goes on. So the 3 pets are the Noxian Embercat, which is this one, the Ixamander, which I guess is that one, and then the Ionian Cloudleaper, which they, by the way, just called this straight up a fox. So they just said it was a fox, but I guess that's its official name. So 3 of them, it's the different kind of avenues of jungle. The Embercat is the more aggressive style. It provides slows and bonus damage. The Ixamander is the frontline and tank for their team. It provides a shield based on your health that provides bonus slow, resist, and tenacity when broken. And the Cloudleaper is the rotate and movement speed, kind of more that type of jungler, so like Lilia, Hecarim, that type of thing. A couple things about it. These are untargetable, so you cannot kill a jungler's pet. They are untargetable. And they do evolve, I think based on level. But yeah, and it will go. These pets will acquire treats through monster kills and slowly over time as game progresses, etc. So yeah, by killing monster camps, they're consuming treats, and I think also your level might have to do with something as well. But yeah, they evolve, and until they get to their final form, that's when they'll ultimately give the bigger bonuses. Again, a little bit gimmicky, but it is what it is. We have had, by the way, for those that are newer to the game, we have had jungle pets or a version of it in the past. I think it was like Spirit of the Elder Lizard and stuff like that. I think that had like a little bit of a pet, but not as obvious as this. This is an actual thing that is next to you, I think. I still don't know what I feel about it. The only way that I would... the only thing in my mind, and I know this is a bad thing, not too many people ask questions about these pets, by the way. The only question that was asked was, are they targetable? Can you kill the opponent jungler's one, and then that hurts the enemy jungler for, it takes a minute for it to respawn, and they just said, no, they're not targetable. So that's all that was really said about them. I hate to be a pessimist in some avenues, but my only kind of initial thought of, oh, you're putting a new model into the game, is that going to be an opportunity for them to sell skins for these pets, like the little legends in TFT? And then that's another revenue money making thing for Riot. I'm not sure. That unfortunately is where my brain goes, because a lot of the decisions Riot makes nowadays does seem to be quite money centric. Just look at, and I don't blame them. It's a free to play game, but look at the skins. Senna, a fairly newish champion, is getting another new skin. It's the same champions all the time. Generally, the champions who stay strong typically get more skins. So it is a bit like that, but yeah. Leashing range indicators. So this is one of the ways that they are dumbing it down. So it's not even like a major skill for junglers. It's pretty easy to learn, but making sure that you don't go out of range for your jungle monster to run away from you and reset. It's a fairly basic thing that you literally can learn within 5-10 minutes in the practice tool. But I guess so many people get it wrong. They are making this easier, which I really don't think they need to make this easier. And for those that are like, what's the negative of making it easier? It reduces just skill expression in the game. Over time, skill expression in League of Legends, I believe, and I think a lot of people do, has ultimately gone down. And it's like the little things, the jungle timers that we've had, that reduces skill expression. And some people may not see that, but it does, because it just separates people that are willing to do it, and then now you don't have to. It's little things like that that added up to making somebody a well-rounded jungler, and you don't need to do that anymore. But yeah. So in an effort to make jungle more welcoming to players unfamiliar with the role, we'll be adding a visual leashing indicators that will show how far camps can be pulled before their patience starts diminishing. We're also decreasing the distance camps can be pulled, so no more having to stand on the perfect pixel in order to optimize your jungle clears. Which again, that to me is a negative, because that perfect pixel to do 2 camps at the same time is a skill. When you learn it, it's not that skillful because you know what to do, but at least you had to learn it. Now you don't even need to learn it, it's gone. So I'm mixed about that one, if I'm completely honest. Recommended jungle paths. So another addition that we have to make jungle more accessible are recommending jungle paths for every champion, which is like, good luck recommending one for Yuumi. These first clear paths were determined by gathering data from high-skilled junglers on their high mastery champs across the globe. Pathing recommendations are based on which routes most often led players to victory and will be updated each patch. Couple things about this that was from the meeting. This can be turned off. So they haven't stated it here, but someone who was in the meeting, who I believe was a jungle main, literally their first question, which I know to Riot might be a bit of like an arrow in the heart, they just went, can I turn that off? And they were like, yes. So you will be able to turn this off, and I'm sure many high rating people will turn it off, because the problem with a recommended jungle path, and yes, technically what they're doing, it is beginner friendly, but it doesn't account for the changes in each game. So it's recommending your path, and the problem is some people will just follow that path. But what happens if optimally, if you weren't following a path, you may notice what's going on in the map a little bit more, and hey, it would be better for me to go help that situation, I'm going to go do that. But when the recommended path is just telling you, no, do this, more people will probably blank out what's happening around and just focus on their jungle path, basically becoming like a mindless robot. Like, it's reducing the individual skill expression of somebody thinking for themselves in game. That's kind of part of the problem. The less that us players have to think about things, the less skill expression there is. And that goes with jungle timers at the top of the screen. You know, that it becomes autonomous, basically, that you just keep doing the same thing without really thinking. Now, I can say something, by the way. I do believe, I think I can say it here, and it kind of goes with the next topic as well, so but I'll mention it now. And, you know, I am partnered with one of them. I'm partnered with Professor. But a lot of these apps, Professor, U.GG, you know, there's a bunch of them. Mobilytics, I think, has got one that arguably give way too much information than they should. So this was actually a conversation piece that we had during this video. Why am I bringing up here? Because right now in the jungle, you have timers at the top for both buffs, Dragon, Rift Herald, eventually Baron or Elder Dragon. We have all those timers, but we don't have the timer for your Wolf Camp or your Krug or whatever, Wraiths, whatever they're called now. What are they called now? I can't remember. But if you install one of these third-party apps, on your minimap will be a timer on all those jungle camps that you know perfectly. And some of these some of these third-party apps even give you information like the timer of the opponent's ultimate or the timer of the opponent's flash. Information that you technically could find out, but in reality, you're not really always going to keep on top of. So someone actually asked, like, what are they doing about these apps? Ultimately, they didn't say official, but they do feel that they are giving too much information, kinda, and they will be looking to tone that down and working with those apps, because I don't think they want them to ultimately go, but I think they do feel right now they are giving a bit too much information that they probably shouldn't. Now, a couple days after the meeting, the other dev blog came out that I spoke about, and partially it's linked to that of Riot's planning to make Champ Select completely anonymous, so you won't have people's summoner names or anything of that nature in Champ Select. Now, I don't know if that also goes when you're in game, because in theory, yeah, maybe in Champ Select you wouldn't have the data on your teammates. But as soon as you get in game and you see their summoner names, these apps then will update and you give you all the information. I don't know if that's kind of step one to Riot reducing some of the power that these apps have. I did say in that video that I made reacting to that dev blog, you know, they could just restrict some of the things within the API, not giving all the information, and that will naturally make the apps not have as much information anyway. But yeah, so I just wanted to mention it with like the recommended jungle and the little jungle changes. For those that are saying, like, you know, what about those third-party things? Yes, Riot does see there's something there they need to work on that I don't think they're quite sure on what to do, but someone asked the question, and that's what Riot's response was, is they are going to be looking in that area pretty soon. And that also kind of goes with communication tools, because, again, some of these third-party apps can give you extra communication in terms of it can put things in chat for you. You know, you click a ward and it puts a thing in the chat of exactly when the ward will run out, the timer or whatever it may be. So Riot is fleshing out the communication of the game. Now, at the end, when I talk about what they're doing here, I will bring up that, yes, the whole idea of voice chat also came up, and I'll mention what Riot did say about that. So communication tools is an updated ping wheel. So League is a team game as its core. In order to better facilitate communication between teammates, we're doubling the number of pings available to players. The 8 pings on the wheel will now be as follows. So return pings clockwise. Retreat, on my way, assist me, enemy missing. And then the new pings clockwise, push, all in, hold, and bait. All of them, you know, I'm completely fine with a fully fleshed out chat system. Or ping system. I don't use chat in League of Legends, and I probably never will. I really think it's unnecessary, and generally the people that type in the chat, they just like the sound of their own voice a bit too much, in my opinion. And then we also have new vision pings. So we're also adding an entirely new ping wheel that focuses primarily on vision. Using this wheel, you can now indicate the following. From left to right, vision cleared, enemy vision, and need vision, which is here. And a very cool thing about this that Riot mentioned that they apparently don't mention here, when you ping a ward, like an enemy vision ward, and if you manage to, like, I think actually ping the ward itself, it puts a timer or something. Again, I vaguely remember what Riot was saying here, but it puts a timer on the screen that is like semi-translucent of the timer left on the ward or something like that. It basically fleshes out the information that, again, some of these third-party apps can do. That's what these third-party apps do. If a third-party app sees a ward go down, it will keep that on your minimap so you know, oh, there's a ward there. And when it knows the timer that it gets through the API, if it has vision of it at some point, it then goes off your map when it knows the ward's gone. So it's not exactly the same. You know, you do have to put an effort in, you have to ping it, but it is giving you a little bit more extra power when it comes to that type of thing. So I'm fine with that. Riot didn't say too much about this specifically. Again, I'll get onto the voice chat in a second. The next thing is objective voting. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, and I think this is pointless, and I'll explain why in a second. But objective voting, in theory, sounds like a good idea. It's like, oh, I want to do dragon. I want my team to do dragon. You know, I'm quite a dragon objective-focused player. And a lot of the time when your team isn't, it's frustrating. But maybe having a vote of let's go do the dragon kind of kicks your teammates into gear of, oh, okay, let's do dragon, gets that on their mind. So I can get why they can do it, but I'll explain why I'm not a big fan of it in a second. But getting your team on board with taking objective can be difficult, and have everyone ping on my way if they can contest or retreat. If they can't, it can get very confusing. We're introducing a new voting function that will appear when objectives are pinged that will function similar to a surrender vote. Now, all players can vote and indicate whether or not they'd like to take it, contest it, whatever. A couple things about this. So the jungler is actually getting 2 votes here. Every other player is getting 1. So because the jungler ultimately has the smite, they get 2, everyone else gets 1. Someone did ask of what happens if a laner takes smite, and these are the type of things of why Riot announces this stuff pretty early, is because the guy that was in charge, he kind of spoke up and was like, I'm still working some stuff out, because, you know, there have been cheese strategies over the years of top laners taking smite or support player taking smite. Will that mess this up? Will those players also get 2 votes, or will just the jungler? Also, what happens if you role trade in champ select? All of that stuff, you know, it's a bit confusing, but they've got some of the things to work out ultimately. But there's that. Now, why do I think this is pointless? I think this is pointless because ultimately it is always going to be the jungler's decision if a dragon or an objective is going to be done, because they have the smite. Now, you could argue that in a vote, if 4 people say yes, but the jungler says no, it's a 4 to 6 vote because the jungler has 2 votes. But therefore, hey, the majority wants to do dragon, let's do dragon. But then the jungler doesn't want to do it. If the jungler doesn't go there, whose fault is it? You know, the team voted yes, but the jungler said no, but the jungler's got smite. To me, this is just going to cause some headaches, because ultimately it is the jungler's decision. So hell, they could have made the jungler had 4 votes. You know, that's what I would have done. Like, have the jungler have 4 votes and the rest of the team get 1. So it's always kind of in the jungler's way. But I'm sure we're going to get so many situations of frustrated players. And yeah, I hope junglers mainly are objective focused. Dragons are very strong. But when there is a vote 4-6, but the person that said no is the jungler, it's going to make people really frustrated. Going, we all voted for it, but the jungler said no, so I guess we're not doing it, even though the vote was a yes. It's where I just think it's a good idea by concept. maybe instead of a vote of should we do it, should we not, maybe it should have just been like a more attention of like, oh, I want to do dragon. And it's just like, your Syndra mid lane is pinging that she wants to do dragon, just to let you know. Instead of a vote, I think more of an attention, hey, get dragon on your mind might have been a better idea. But I don't know. It seems a little bit pointless to me. Off-screen pings. So the last communication change we have for you is small quality of life update that will notify which direction an off-screen ping came by displaying on the edge of the screen. Enemy missing pings will show on your screen regardless of where they pinged on the map while retreat. On my way, assist me, hold, all in, and push pings will only be displayed if they're pinged within 3,000 units. So basically, yeah, if there's a ping, it will come on the edge of your screen from the direction of where that ping is coming from. So if someone's warning you, hey, the mid lane is above you, and they ping above you, if it's out of the box range, technically the ping, it will be at the top of your screen to let you know that's where the ping is, and that's probably where that's where they're warning you it's coming from. Just a nice quality of life update. There's nothing wrong with that. I actually am pretty all in for that. They are saying about here, by the way, allied ward tracking and enemy ward timers. So this is what I actually said earlier, but for some reason they didn't include it in that thing over there. So very quickly, while there are currently ways to see how many wards you have out, there isn't a quick way to check which wards are closest to expiring, other than manually looking at each ward placed. We're introducing a new ward visuals on the minimap that will indicate when wards are close to expiring. They will change in appearance when wards reach 60 and 30 seconds remaining before they expire. Speaking as someone that is color confused, color blind, I hope it's not to do with colors. And then enemy ward timers. It can be hard to keep track of every single ward that gets placed on the map, and even harder to successfully communicate that information to your teammates. Now, if you ping an enemy ward that you saw them place within the last 10 seconds, a perfectly accurate ward timer will appear until the ward is removed or expired. So again, it is dumbing down the game a little bit. It's giving you extra information that maybe you shouldn't really have all the time. But I actually believe the reason why they're doing this is because the third-party apps are doing this anyway. So it's kind of elevating what we have in the game itself to what the third-party apps have. So that's all that. Again, I'm all for this type of communication update. And to a question that a lot of people will probably be waiting for me to talk about, so the voice chat. So someone did bring it up. There's been a lot of conversations actually recently about voice chat because of Champions Queue. People going, oh, look how good it can be. There's no doubt that it could be good. The problem is the opposite. And I know a lot of people like, it's never good to take a pessimistic view or anything, but unfortunately, when you're making big game-changing decisions, you have to look at both sides. And that is ultimately why Riot themselves said they have absolutely no plans to add voice chat in solo queue. So that is what they said. The devs of solo queue, that's what they said. They've always said that. Nothing's ever changed. And what it boils down to is a number of things, but it is, again, it's online is a fairly toxic place, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. And even Valorant, people say, one of Riot's properties that does have voice chat, apparently it's not the nicest experience. Even games like apparently Overwatch 2, as crazy as it sounds, they actually are now recording the voice chat every single game. So if anybody says something really bad, they have the recordings of that now. So they can actually listen to recordings of what players are saying. And that's the reality. In League is quite a toxic game, and especially minority gamers, so females or anything of that nature, they would be not best treated, let's be honest. If you are completely honest with yourself, we know that by the average internet user. And Riot don't want that. You know, they don't have even the best control over a text-based system. So then to introduce a voice-based system would be really bad. There are a couple other things, and I've always mentioned these as negatives as well, is it's not just the fact that, oh, you know, the minority people could get bullied out of it. It's the other aspects. If it becomes the norm to use voice chat, people who never want to use it, I for one would never want to use voice chat in solo queue, because I'm playing solo queue to be solo. If I want to go do a team-based thing, I'd go play Flex, I'd go play Clash, and I do that occasionally. I play Clash every couple weeks. That's my team play thing. Solo is my solo thing. But if you turn solo into a voice chat experience, you are then putting people at a disadvantage who are currently not at a disadvantage. So people who would never want to use voice chat, you are marginalizing those people more than ever because, hey, you're not joining the voice chat. And then there's a whole new level of toxicity of people flaming somebody for not joining the voice chat when right now it's not even an issue. And, you know, Riot didn't say this, but I've always said this. If you are the biggest advocate for voice chat in the world, you think it's crazy that League doesn't have it, you can have a version of it. I've seen it happen. You make a Discord server, you post the link in Champ Select, and if people are on the same page, they want to be in voice chat like you, they can just join your server. You can do that right now. It's a version of it. Yes, it's not the in-game official, but some people do it. You can do it if you really want voice chat, and that is kind of the answer. But Riot, they did say they have absolutely no plans of adding it, and I had the exact same conversation with Riot 5 years ago. I just don't see that they're going to add voice chat to League. And I know some people might be disappointed in that and they watch Champions Queue, but you also have to remember Champions Queue is the best example of how voice chat can go because it's all pros, so they're all good at the game, or pros and high tier players or high tier streamers or whatever. They all know they're being watched, so they do have to behave well. You know, there are also for those players bigger repercussions than any if they did something toxic over voice chat. They would get fired, they'd lose their spot, they'd get fined. So, but the average solo queue player doesn't have those negatives. They can just do whatever they want. So using the Champions Queue as the example is not the best example because it would never be like that, ever. And what also a little point that Riot said about voice chat as well, actually, is a lot of servers within League of Legends are multi-language. You know, just look at something like EU West or EU Northeast. There's a lot of languages within that server, and voice chat isn't the best when it's a multicultural, multi-language based system, but a ping system is universal. Everybody knows what the pings are. It translates probably equivalent to your own language, and it's very easy. You will understand each other through the ping system as well. So that's what Riot said about voice chat. No plans to add it anytime soon or probably ever. Next up, loadout ability and recommendations. So this again is to help newer players, which I'm not against helping new players, by the way. League is a now 12, 13-year-old game. It is an incredibly steep learning curve game too that does not have many resources to new players from the ground up. And like, you know, people may argue, oh, there's a lot of content creators, including yourself, Huz, that you teach the game or you play the game and people can learn. Yeah, but it's not like most content creators explain the absolute basics. You know, we don't. You know, some of us may give, hey, here's the room page I'm using, but there's not much else. So to a new player, it can be a bit daunting of going, I have no idea what to do or what to take. I just want to play the game, and that's about it. And that's what this is for. So you can ignore it, but it's going to give you a recommended room page and recommended summoner spells on each champion based, again, on the patches information, focusing on the higher tier player. The only negative to this, I will say, especially, is sometimes, again, if it is higher tier that they're going off, hopefully it's actually just broader, because runes can actually change depending on what rating you're in. You know, and some champions are a bit weird, like Renekton, great example. In some matchups, he goes PTA Ignite. In other matchups, he goes Conqueror TP. It's not going to be the best system for that type of thing, but I don't think it's ultimately aimed for like the most competitive player. One thing that some people said, which is great, is ARAM players are going to absolutely love this, because every single time you're in ARAM, you get a different champion every single game. It's annoying to change the setup each game. Well, now, whenever you pick a champion, 3 things will pop up on your screen. You just click which one you want for what you want to do, and ultimately that will what you're going to get. What I would guess is the 3 that pop up may be like, this is for pure aggression, this is slightly tankier. Like, it will tell you the rough gist of what the room page is giving you, and yeah, that's a good thing. And then, you know, this has not been in the game for a very long time, but if you're really new to the game, sometimes you don't even know what to level in the right order. And again, it can just take that out of you knowing that or having to know that in the early game, and you can just focus on gameplay. I use both of these things, by the way, in a different video game, and some people may be surprised to know, but I very occasionally play Smite with my friends. And I don't know what the levels are or what items I should be buying. And Smite, since its launch, I'm pretty sure, has had auto level abilities and has an auto buy items. I use that when I play Smite. I'm just playing it for the gameplay, and that's a really good when you're new to a video game or you're just not really caring to kind of get in depth with a video game. And it's good that Riot is finally having these type of things. There's no negative to it. Next up, top lane changes. So I can't remember which person did it, but someone went absolutely nuts about these top lane changes in the meeting. They were very happy. So some people may be like, I agree with what they're doing here. So in essence, they are buffing the amount of experience that solo laners get, which includes solo mid and solo top. Duo experience is also getting nerfed. Again, not by much. You know, if you look at these, they were previously 93%, so it's 95, so a 2% buff. And here, it's a 1.73% nerf. So it's not huge. Mid lane also is getting a nerf in terms of gold. 1 less gold per minion before the 14-minute mark. Why are they doing this? So we've all played the game. I'm sure we still mostly all play it now. Even as a solo main person myself, the amount of times that I'm in mid and I've stayed in mid, I'm farming, etc., and we're going for our first dragon fight, and it's not been crazy surprising if the AD carry on my team or the enemy team is the same level as me. And I'm like, that's interesting. It happens quite often, and it shouldn't happen. There's 2 people that are sharing experience versus 1 person by themselves. It happens more than it should. So that is ultimately why they're doing it. It's giving more XP to solo laners and less XP to duos. And all this will likely do, let's say at the 15-minute mark, it might give a solo laner 2 levels above. Maybe nowadays on average it's 1 level above. And I think 2 levels above is perfectly fine. And that kind of makes sense. And yeah, as for the gold thing, that does hurt me a little bit, I will say. But it is what it is. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, put it that way. Next up, so we have new items. I'm not going to go over these in crazy detail because, again, item stuff is really subject to change. A lot of these, if I had to guess, are going to be stronger than they should be, and they're going to have to get toned down. That usually is what happens to new items. But all I know is that they're moving Sunfire as a tank item to being a non-mythic item. And we're now getting 2 new tank items. It's also, I think, Turbo Chem Tank might also not be a mythic anymore too. So yeah, the 3 tank items now are Icathia's Endurance, Radiant Virtue, and Iceborne Gauntlet. So those are the 3 tank mythics, I believe. It might even be Goliath's Ascendery. There might be 4. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm not going to go over these, but yeah, just new items. If you want to read through them, feel free. The reason, again, I'll look into these more in detail when we do testing. It's just they're so subject to change. It's kind of pointless, but it basically just tank stuff. I am very excited, I will say, about Rod of Ages' return. So Rod of Ages, and I've said it for ages, was perfect. It is a perfect item, in theory, to where the League of Legends game has gone. League of Legends a lot now is about scaling, and Rod of Ages was always the scaling mage item. So it just fit the game so well. It's a mythic item, so, you know, you can't always build it. It's a mythic. But it grants the same as it kind of used to. It gives you ability power, gives you health and mana, and then also per minute, you are getting excess stacks. So you're getting 20 health, 20 mana, 4 ability power every minute, up to 10 for a maximum of those. And then upon reaching the max stacks, you gain a level, by the way. When this was said, everyone was like, what? So, like, yeah, literally, if you buy this item, and by the time you hit the max stacks, if let's say you're level 15, bam, you're instantly level 16. The moment you hit max stacks, boom, you just get a level. And you're like, oh, that's really strong. So yeah, that's kind of good. That also means Catalyst is back, and you will see, you know, things that used to get built out of Catalyst will now use Catalyst again. I think Abyssal Mask is one of those items as well. Again, Sunfire, no longer a mythic. Chemtank, no longer a mythic. Randuin's Omen. Spirit Shojin is back, and again, some people in the meeting was a little bit concerned about that. Spirit Shojin is one of the items, kind of like Death's Dance, that Riot seems that they never truly can balance. So I am nervous about Spirit Shojin's return. For those that don't know it, it is a ability haste, cooldown reduction type thing that, let's say, Riven absolutely loves, and other champions also. So I'm a little bit nervous about that one. Hydra's getting some changes, and there we go. So overall, anything else again that I want to mention in terms of the Q&A? Again, I will say I probably should have actually noted a lot of the stuff down. The voice chat was the big one. Pets, yeah, you can't target pets. That was all about it. The other questions, my question that I asked was about duo queue, and they said we can't answer that, but you'll find about it soon. And that's where the blog a couple days later came out that mentioned we're keeping duo queue for now, but they do want to swap it, trust me. But they're keeping it for now, and until they can kind of have a better home for duo players, and what that basically means is have flex be more serious in some way. But that might take a while for them to do. And that was about it. Yeah, a lot of the questions sometimes, for those that like what kind of questions are asked, a lot of the time it boils down to, you know, content creators that are specifically interested in one champion. And a lot of questions are more focused on their one champion, like how will it affect that? So a lot of them aren't broad questions. But yeah, Return of the Chem Dragon, jungle stuff. Not a massive fan of the pets, it has to be said. I'm liking the upgraded ping system. I don't mind the recommendation stuff, top lane solo experience and everything. That's cool. New items, again, we'll see with testing. But that's about it. You know, nothing game breaking. You know, there's nothing. Well, again, they change the jungle every couple years, and I guess that's the biggest change that we're having again is another jungle change. But I don't know, nothing crazy bad is what I would say, and that's a good thing. You know, we've had some pretty rough seasons in League of Legends, especially pre-seasons. You know, a lot of people still aren't massive fan of the new items, mythic items. I don't love them. I've accepted them. But it is what it is. Again, the damage is still ridiculously high to me in League of Legends, and it's only getting higher again. Each patch notes, they're just buffing the damage. So it's like, the durability update didn't really do anything now. But I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of the upcoming preseason. Do you want me to test it, or do you just want me to kind of wait? Be interested to know, and let me know, like, what do you like, what do you dislike, and do you think there's anything that is missing? Do you think, like, oh, Riot should make that as a change? It would be interesting to know. But that's going to be it. If you guys enjoy, again, do all that stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Please do, by the way, subscribe. The channel is growing very slowly, so if you're not subscribed, please do. Again, as an incentive, obviously, I do my normal stuff, but for some reason, I seem to be well-liked within Riot, and I always get invited to dev meetings or new champion stuff, so I always have the new stuff, and kind of an elevated thought process about it, because I talk to the devs involved, and especially when it comes to new champions, I always get that information early, and my video comes out the moment that I'm allowed to release it. That obviously Riot releases the video just, hey, here's the abilities, where I break them down and actually discuss what they do. Yeah, feel free to subscribe if that sounds cool to you. And again, I'm a right now Diamond 1 roughly player on EUS, been Master 142 LP this year. Unfortunately, the main account is having a bit of a rough time. Do unrank to Diamond each year, that we play all 5 roles, making our way to Diamond, not fully tryharding, just showing you can casually make it there. And we do that every year, and just for a bit of fun. But that's gonna be it. I'll see you guys next time. Adios amigos, goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal